Thank you very much for the introduction. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. That's great. How many future leaders and entrepreneurs do we have in this room today? Right? That's brilliant. And how many females who want to be future entrepreneurs and leaders? I can't see. Okay, that's fine. And how many of those female entrepreneurs and leaders who also want to be moms and have a family as well? Right. So basically today what I'm going to be talking to you about is that if I can do this, you can too. Right? And this is very, very important, and I want all current entrepreneurs and leaders, male and female, and especially aspiring female entrepreneurs and leaders, to really take away this one thing from my talk today. Everyone these days is talking about the challenges being faced by women-led startups and by women in leadership positions. We all know the statistics of how low the number is of female-led startups globally. And the number of VC-funded female startups is even lower, right? But I started thinking about why, and I started talking to a lot of women who are now trying to lead, who are trying to be entrepreneurs. And I've come here today to tell you just one simple thing. If I can do this, and I am doing it, and I'm very happy doing it, then you can too. It's really that simple. And the way to do it is actually just to change your internal dialogue. So instead of thinking, I might do this, or I don't know if I can do this, you have to say, yes, I can do this. And that's how we must start thinking. If I can do this, you can do this. I did my degree from Karachi University in English literature, right? No Ivy League, no MBA. I got married in my early 20s, and I have 2 kids. Should I keep? And I have 2 really beautiful, intelligent, smart kids. And I love having my family. But this is not the profile of an entrepreneur. I was working in education, but I didn't know how to run a business or start a business. I didn't know anything about EdTech especially, and my startup is related to EdTech, right? And living and working in London, to be honest, I tick most of the wrong boxes. So ethnicity, nationality, religion, gender, I tick the wrong option on all the boxes, right? But that didn't stop me because I had to keep telling myself, I can do this and make it happen. So if I can be happy and successful and do this, you really can, because you're not different from me. Yes, there will be challenges. There will be a lot of challenges, and it will be hard. So raising finance, lack of business skills, financial skills, technical skills, a lot of pressure from social expectations, poor networks, and a lack of confidence. These are generally the challenges that are listed for women entrepreneurs and leaders. But when I look at this list of challenges, I don't actually see all these external challenges. I see only one internal challenge. And for me, that just means changing the narrative inside. It's about me believing that I can do this. I can do this. I can be married and have a career. I can have kids and pursue and fulfill my dreams. I can aim high. I can earn more, and I can get to the top. I can compete with my male counterparts. Yes, I can. And I can have a family and a personal life and be happy at the same time. I can do this, right? So I have to keep telling myself. And the trick is that you have to spot when you find yourself making those excuses in your mind. And you just flip the narrative, you change it. So for example, in the journey of the last 18 months, I've actually closed down my company twice. Okay? And the first time, I actually closed it down, and it was only 4 months into the journey. And the situation was that both my kids had chickenpox. It was Ramadan in London, which means I was fasting 19.5 hours every day for a month. I was already helping my husband run his business. I had in-laws. I was trying to deal with the social life, stuff at school, stuff at home, run the house. I was trying to do everything, and I just got overwhelmed. And I told myself, you know what, this is crazy. I can't do this. This is actually impossible, right? And I told myself this, and I believed it. And I closed it. ELN was gone, gone. 2 months, nothing. But then something kept nagging at me because I kept thinking, why can't I do this? There are so many successful women out there, and they are doing this, right? So why can't I? And it kept bugging me, bugging me. And after 2 months, I started again. I sat down, I made plans. I planned my timings, childcare, budgets, my schedules, when am I going to work, how am I going to handle meetings. I worked out everything. And 2 months later, I was ready, I was organized, and I worked hard. I cannot tell you how hard I've worked. How long I haven't slept more than 3 or 4 hours per night. But the thing is, I can do this, I am doing this, and it means you can do this too. I think a lot of the times it's actually a lack of confidence. I speak to so many brilliant, amazing women with so many ideas, but it's a lack of confidence that they have. They don't believe that they can actually make it happen, and also they believe they don't have time. But I think if we change that one belief inside us that I can do this, you will find the time to do it. You will find ways to get things done. It's all about saying, if I can do this, then you can do it too. And then keep pushing yourself. So an example of this would be that, everyone's talking about how entrepreneurs need to be able to network, right? Make connections with the right people, pitch your company, and all of that. I hate networking. I absolutely hate it. I'm actually an introvert, and I would much rather spend the day with my family reading a book than actually go out and keep pitching my company to random strangers, right? That's not my idea of fun at all. But I made myself do it. I said, I can do this. So many people do this all the time. I can do this too. And I kept pushing myself. I'd go to these meetings and conferences and say, okay, I've brought this many business cards, and today they're going to get handed out. I used to give myself a target. I'm going to shake hands with this many people. I'm going to introduce my company to these many people. And I did it. And I pushed myself to do it until it became a habit, until it started to come naturally. To the extent that a few days ago, I took my kids to a school here for their admission, and I ended up speaking to the principal of my company. So it turned into a conversation and a pitch about my company, right? But so what? So I don't know when I'm going to meet the next person who's going to be my next investor or my big client, or introduce me to the next investor or big client, right? So that's why it became a habit. It comes naturally, and if I can do this, you definitely can. The biggest difficulty, I would say, one of the biggest difficulties I faced was actually when I started my business, I didn't really know much about edtech. Well, actually, I didn't really know much about tech or marketing or finance or design or anything else, really. And I had no money, right? So what did I do? So initially, for the first few months, I learned, I practiced, I read. I used to stay up all night long doing courses online, asking people, colleagues, friends, previous employers, anybody who would listen, who would answer my phone call, I was asking them for help. And I was just learning and practicing for the first few months. That's all I was doing. And I did. I learned design. I learned marketing. I learned how to make financial cash flows. I learned about A/B testing. What is SEO? What is API? I had no idea, and now I'm doing all these things, right? So if I can do this, so can you. The first logo I designed was myself using a free software online, right? And that was good. I did it, and I liked it, right? But I did it. The point is that I did it. And now I understand these things. I understand marketing and SEO strategies. I do A/B testing. I prepare financial cash flows, and I speak to investors. And I talk about projections and do all these things. But this didn't happen overnight. I spent the first few months working really hard and making up for what I didn't know, realizing what I didn't know. And I had to keep pushing myself. Every time it was 2 a.m. and I just wanted to go to bed, but I knew there was this one more thing I had to do. I used to tell myself, I can do this, and I will do this. So, related to design, in the beginning, all the brochures for my company, I designed them myself because I couldn't afford to hire a designer. And I showed a friend of mine, and he literally laughed and said, oh, did your 5-year-old just mess around with the computer and drop these things on the page? So we laughed about it, right? And I said, okay, fine. But I kept learning. I kept showing those designs to people, learning, what do I change? Where do I put this? How do I do this? You know, different elements in the design and all of that. And I did get good. And I'm not just saying that, okay? So a few days ago, I did hire a professional designer, and they were going through some of the older graphics I made. And they said, hey, that's really cool. Who made that for you? And I said, hey, that was me. I made it, right? So the thing is, you can learn. And if I can learn how to design, you can too. You really can, trust me, okay? So, I mean, the funny thing is that how people, the funniest thing actually is how people react when I walk into the room. So my staff gets a meeting, I go to meet a client, and I walk into the room, and literally people just do this. Like, it's a physical reaction. So you're the director? Yes, I'm the director. Right, but who's the CEO? That's me. Right, but, oh, so who founded the company? That's me. And if they know that I'm married, then they say, oh, right, so but basically this is your husband's thing, right? It's like, no, it's mine, right? So one guy actually was waiting in his office, and he walked in, and he just did this. He literally did this, and then he said, oh, sorry, I'm reacting. I usually expect gray-haired old men at this level. I was like, that didn't really make it any better, but anyway. So I do find that I have to justify my credibility. I have to justify the worth of my company and what we've set out to do more than perhaps if my husband went to that meeting room instead of me. And I could have asked my husband to do it, but I said no, because I can do this, because it's my company, it's my vision, right? And if I can do this, if I can go out and convince all these people that I can do this and I am doing this and deliver something worthwhile, every time I do that, every time I convince one person, I make that little bit of a difference for all the other women entrepreneurs and leaders all over the world, right? So can you imagine if I'm doing this tiny, tiny little bits, if we could all stand up for our ambitions and our passions and just say, I can do this, and go out and do it, that would change the external dialogue. That would change the external narrative. But where is that change going to come from? That change is going to come from within, saying, I can do this, so you definitely can too. But I have to say that the most difficult for me, the most difficult thing for me was dealing with the social expectations, the pressure, which leads to a lack of confidence in myself. It is really, really difficult. I mean, there's no denying it. For me, it was the most difficult thing. I have an amazing husband and I have an amazing mom, and they support me unwaveringly, right? But people will get you down. They will make life so difficult. I had convinced myself that I am a bad mom. I convinced myself I am a bad wife or a bad daughter, right? I'm not doing right by these people. Maybe I'm doing something wrong by running a business. And I convinced myself of that because of what people said. And to deal with that, I mean, there's two things. Firstly, yeah, filter out those people, okay? You will find out who are your true friends and well-wishers when you start this journey. But the thing is that once you've done that, it really has to come from within. It doesn't matter who's supporting you or what they're saying. If you keep telling yourself, I can do this, I can be a good mom, and I can be an entrepreneur, and I can make a profit on this business, right? I can make the next big sale, then you will end up doing, and it will end up happening. So, I mean, I look at all these, I've heard that people say that there's a lack of women entrepreneurs or lack of role models for women. But seriously, when you start out the journey, let's not even think about the big names, right? In my journey in the last 3 months, 4 months in Pakistan, I have met the most amazing and inspiring women, and they're all around us. You don't have to go far, right? The inspiration is there, the role models are there, and there are people out there working. All you have to do is actually say, yes, I can, go out, and you will find them, okay? So we all have dreams, but sometimes we just need to believe that we can make those dreams happen. And after listening to my story, I mean, really, there will be ups and downs. It will be really, really difficult, and you will have to work really hard. Your final exams don't even come near it, okay? So if you think you know what hard is, it's not hard, okay? So it is going to get really hard. But always, when it gets really tough, just think of me today on the stage. And just think, if I can do it, you can do it too. Thank you.